of religion. Before Adam, the people had not evolved to the place of thinking in the abstract. And they know they didn't create themselves, so they were turning to the source of their livelihood, which was food, plants and animals and trees and also sun, moon, and stars. And therefore, they attributed their creation to nature because they couldn't think in the abstract. But Adam introduced in the very first page of the Bible that there is one invisible God that created everything. And he's not divisible. He's just one God that is. And then he was going to make man in our image, meaning he's going to send a number of manifestations, high prophets, to educate the people into God's image. At that time, they were in the image of the animal. They had 2 eyes, 2 ears, nose, mouth, arms, and legs. And but he wanted to make them in his image, which was the spiritual love, mercy, justice, generosity, fidelity, concord, harmony. All the spiritual, there's thousands of them. He wanted man to evolve spiritually because the next life is not going to be a physical one. The next life, the soul goes into another dimension. We're in a 3-dimensional world. We go into another dimension. And in order to function in this dimension, the soul needs to be spiritual, have these spiritual qualities. In fact, in order to have civilization in this world, we have to have the spiritual qualities. If we don't have love and justice and mercy and all these things, we would eat one another like the savages. We would be cannibals. And pre-Adamic men, many of them were cannibals. They hadn't arrived at the place of the sanctity of life. So Adam had a whole new concept of civilization. And he says those that had not been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world will marvel. That is, those people that don't believe in the one true God, invisible God. Like the Russians don't believe in any type of God. Like the Christians that believe in a pagan triune God, you know what I mean? They're not from the foundation of the world. And those that are written in the book of life, that does accept the one true God, that does accept the manifestations of God, and does accept the God's kingdom that has come now in this age through Baha'u'llah. These are the ones that won't go into perdition, see? This calls for a mind of wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman is seated. And this gives us the location of the center of this Babylonian whore. And all Christians agree that this is the city of Rome, which is surrounded by 7 hills. The Catholics, the Protestants, and the new type of Protestantism, New Age Protestantism. The Catholics say that this is imperial Rome before it became Christian. The Protestant Rome, the Protestants, the daughter harlots, say no, that this is Rome. This is why we separated from it. It is harlotry, you know. And the New Age, like Hal Lindsey and Billy Graham and most of your evangelists and those that are on the air, say that there's going, in their books, Van Imp and others, they say that out of the 10 common market countries of Europe is going to come a strong man, and he's going to be the beast. I don't know how the hell he can be the beast. It's going to have a body of a leopard, feet of a bear, mouth of a lion, and eagle's wing, and that can't be a man. It's these 4 nations. I mean, their thing is not only so ludicrous, it stinks. It's because it's just a rotten concept. So they come out and say that there's going to be the strong man. He's going to set his throne in Rome, and he's going to put down the Russians. Everybody's going to turn to him. He's going to tattoo them on their forehead 666 and on the back of their hand in order to buy and sell. And some of them even say there's going to be a 200 million Chinese crossed the river Euphrates and attacked Israel. I mean, they got such a fantastic fantasy at like you tell the children fairy tales. You know, I mean, the people go to church, they're drunk. They're confused, and they take these fairy tales and they pay large sums of money, like they do in the PTL ministry, for these fairy tales to be entertained. It's a second Disneyland, you know. They go for all this type of crap. And they're not really sincere to know the truth. You start to tell them the truth and they don't want to listen. It's just like when Jesus come, they didn't want to listen. When Moses come, they didn't want to listen. When Noah come, they didn't want to listen. And Peter said that they were going to fire for this reason. He said they didn't listen in the past, and he says that it's going to be like the days of Noah. They didn't listen. They're confused, they're drunk, and they're not going to listen. So this 7 hills signifies the city of Rome and our present worldwide whore religion of Trinitarianism. Okay, you want to go on, Danny?
Well, can I have another question here?
Okay.
What is this? It says they are also 7 kings, 5 of whom have fallen. One is.
Well, we haven't got that far yet.
Well, he read over that.
Did he?
Yeah, I read that.
Well, he read that. There's 5 kings and 5.
Yeah,
There's 7 kings, 5 fallen. One is, and the other one is yet to come. When he comes, he only exists for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this pertains to this 7 alive revealed religions that we went through at the first part here. There was 7 spirits. It was in the very first, the 4th chapter. The 7 spirits before the throne. And this is the Jewish, Hindu, Zoroastrian, Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, and Baha'i. And it says here that these are the 7 alive, revealed apostate religion. Alive means that they have followers. They have an organized church. Revealed means that the religion was initially revealed from God. And apostate means that they have put all this crap into it. Okay? These are the live, revealed apostate religion, these 7. And the corruptors of these religions that made them apostate, 5 of them, the ones that corrupted them, don't exist. For instance, the one that corrupted Islam was the Bani Umayyad. And that started in 660 A.D., and the Umayyads only last for 90 years. And then they were conquered by the Akhmeds. And so they're, the ones that corrupted this, the dynasty that corrupted Islam, doesn't exist anymore. All of the Ahmeds were, all of the Umayyads were killed off. The ones that corrupted Judaism, they don't exist anymore. And such as Solomon, you know. The dynasty that corrupted Hinduism and Zoroastrianism and Buddhism, they don't exist anymore. But the Catholic Church started in the days of the apostles. This is what they claim. They said that Peter was their first pope, see? And the one that succeeded Peter, you know, was the Pope of Rome. And they will go all the way to into the fire.
Mm-hmm.
That is the one that is. It started in the days of the apostles, and it exists right up into the fire. And they are the corruptors of Christianity. They're the ones that carry the Pope has the cross here of Nimrod. He has the fish hat of Dagon, which is Nimrod. He has the keys of Janus and Sybil. Janus was Nimrod, and Sybil was Semiramis. And he has the red robe of Nimrod, which comes from the hinge, which was the Cardanus. All of this is traced back in the history, and the papacy represents all of this. They also baptized babies, and as the pagans did. They had taken all the paganism right into the church. So it says here that they have, they're the ones that is today. Then the one that hasn't come yet, but when it comes, it's only going to last for a little while. This represents the Baha'i faith, with the passing of the Davidic king entitled the guardianship in the Baha'i faith. When the Baha'is did away with Baha'u'llah's covenant, and they broke every provision of Abdu'l Baha's will and testament, and established a republic in place of God's kingship, And they took over all the institutions of the Baha'i faith and the Baha'i membership. And they established a Baha'i gate. They went in and stole the money that only should be paid to the guardian, which is called the hukuk. And they are similar to what Alderman and Ehrlichman and Hitty or Kitty, whatever his name is, under Nixon did. Just like a break-in. It's a Baha'i gate. So this last religion has become apostate, and it has about 30 years to live. It became apostate in 1957, and we're now in 1987. And it's time for this beast to be dead. And with it will go the 7 alive revealed apostate religions. And what will be left is the revelation of these religions melting and establishing the kingdom of God on earth. That the Christians don't accept when they did away with the Jesus being the Christ by saying that he's not the descendant of David. And we're the only ones that have a message for the world. And that is that the Davidic king is alive and in the world today. He sits upon the throne of David, and that the whole world will come and bow down before the king. But that won't happen until after this catastrophe that's going to come. Before that, there will just be the 144,000.
As for the beast that was and is not, it is an eighth, but it belongs to the 7, and it goes to perdition.
What is this eighth beast? There are 7 beasts. Now he says there's another one that's the 8th, and it comes out of the 7. Which is this 8th beast?
The Baha'is that aren't under the covenant?
No, they're one of the 7. The 8th beast is United States. United States entered into a whole new concept in the world of civilization. The people of the United States left Europe. They come from Europe to the United States to get away from the oppression of the clergies. And there they had to believe what they were told to believe. If they didn't do it, they were martyred in cruel manner. So the Puritans and the Pilgrims and the different people of Europe that were being oppressed came to the United States and set up a new nation. And King George was overtaxing the people, and so the Americans got together and they had a tea party. And they dumped the tea into the Boston River. And then right after that, they declared their independence from this religious bureaucracy back in Europe. And when they declared its independence, King George was going to send an army over there and enforce his authority and sovereignty. So these 13 colonies had to do something to back up their bold step of a declaration of independence. So what they did, they said, well, we have to, these 13 states have to unify into a solid body. And they said, well, what will our religion be? Well, in New York, they were Catholics, the Huguenots, and then Pennsylvania, they were Quakers, and one state had this religion, another and that religion. Then there was also a mixture in a number of the states. So they couldn't agree on what would be their religion. So they decided that they didn't have time to get into that argument. It might take centuries to settle. So they said, we'll just take religion and set it aside. And we'll establish something new, a political union, with a separation of church and state. It'll be a political union. And they have the First Amendment and so forth. They have the freedom of religion, that the people could be in religion. They didn't have to be in religion, or they'd have their choice of religion. And this is a whole new concept. All the countries in the world were a church-state type of situation. So we were victorious in the Revolutionary War. Now every country in the world has adopted in some form or another, freedom of religion. That they have, people are guaranteed the rights to worship as they want in most countries. And they can live there and practice their own religion. Although they might still have a church state like in England, yet a person can be a Baptist or a Catholic or whatever, you know. So this is the 8th. It's a religious irreligion. A religious irreligion is a political union.
Is that the same as in Isaiah where it says the little child will lead them?
Yeah, this is the United States is the little child.
And the 10 horns that you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received royal power, but they are to receive authority as kings for 1 hour, together with the beast.
Okay, these 10 horns are the 10 Arab countries that came into. Somebody got a King James version? Let me find for me. These 10 horns are the 10 Arab countries that became the 10 horns on the beast. They were the 10 horns on the dragon. And they are going to receive royal power for 1 hour with the beast. Meaning that what is happening in the Persian Gulf at the present time is that the confusion that the United States is causing in the Arab world is very obnoxious to them. We were preaching to the nations and to the peoples, don't give in to terrorists. And don't bargain with them. Don't have anything to do with this. Also, it says don't sell arms to Iran because of its terrorist act. And while the United States was saying this, this is what the United States was doing. This is our president who was doing this, behind the backs of the American people. And he has lost the respect of the people of the world by his backbiting and his back actions, going behind the backs of the people. And then in order to try to make amends for that, we started backing Iraq and getting the oil ships out of the Persian Gulf to try to make amends to the Arab countries. But due to the fact that we might be attacked by Iran, they asked Arabia if they wouldn't extend their AWAC surveillance to cover the Straits of Hormuz. And after some debate, they decided to do this. Then the next day, we told Arabia that we're not going to sell them these arms, that we'd already said we would. So what we have done is confuse the world. And we always say it's our interest. Well, the interest of the United States isn't the interest of that of the world, it's for the interest of the politicians and the rich people of this country. It isn't for the interest of the American people, what they're doing. Or the interest of the people of the world is doing for those that control the banking system and control, that they have the power and the money and things like this. So this is what this is talking about here. It says, so the horns on the beast, they're going to be the 10 horns. He says, these have one mind, they shall give their power and authority unto the beast. That's the next one. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but received royal power as kings for 1 hour with the beast. These are the 10 Arab countries. Or do you want to go on from there, Danny?
These are of one mind and give over their power and authority to the beast.
All right, now their power is the oil, and their authority, they join the United Nations. They give the authority to the beast, which is the United Nations.
They will make war on the Lamb, and the Lamb will conquer them.
When this hits the paper, the communication medium, they will not, the Arab countries will not want to have a David kingship to rule the world. They said that Muhammad is the last of the prophets. They don't want the Jews in Palestine. They're in opposition to this, much less they don't want to have a Jew to be king over the world. So it says here, these have one mind, and they give their power. These shall make war on the Lamb. When I'm announce this to the world when this hits the paper, and announce the Davidic kingship to the world, they'll make war on me, but I'll conquer them. All right, go ahead.
For he is Lord of lords and King of kings.
Now, this lamb is not Lord of lords, King of kings. This lamb is also the knight on the white horse. And as the knight carries the banner of the one that he's going into battle for, he has it on his chaps and on his banner. And I have the Lord of lords and King of kings on my banner. And the king that I'm fighting for is the Lord of lords, is the Baha'u'llah, is the promised universal manifestation that's supposed to unite the world and establish the kingdom. And he's King of kings because he's descendant of King David, and he sits upon that throne of David over all the rest of the kings of the world. And this is the king that I'm fighting for. Danny?
And those with him are called and chosen and faithful.
All right, now they're called, chosen, and faithful. You people are essentially chosen out of the peoples of the world to receive this. Go ahead.
And he said to me, the waters that you saw where the harlot is seated are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns that you saw, they and the beast will hate the harlot.
Okay, wait a minute there. He says, and they said unto me, the waters that you saw is where the whore is seated. We'd already read that previously to show that this whore religion had gone all over the world, to all the countries, nations, peoples, and tongues. Now the 16th verse says, in what you read there, that the horns and the beast will hate the harlot. But in the King James Version here, it tells it the way it is on this one. And he said, the 10 horns which that thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, not the beast. It is the 10 horns, and these are the 10 Arab countries. They hate the beast. They don't want this Christian unification to continue. They want to be in charge. So the 10 Arab countries, that's the horn of the United Nations, hate the beast because it is Trinitarian Christian. And Muhammad talked against this paganism in the Quran. And he pointed out, he says, where did Jesus say that he was God and his mother was another God? Or where does Jesus say that there's 3 gods, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit? No place. This is the corruption and the perversion. And all the Muslims know that the Christians today are pagan. So they hate this Christian religion because it is pagan. And they know that it's going to go down in the great destruction. So it is the horns that are upon the beast that hates the harlot. Not the beast itself. The beast is in cahoots with the harlot. They're run into business in the world by the Catholic Church. And they love the Trinitarian religion. But the 10 horns don't. All right?
They will make her desolate and naked and devour her flesh and burn her up with fire.
Okay, now these are the 10 horns that are going to do this. The 10 horns are in control of the biggest part of the oil of the world. It's the power. It's just like if they took your lifeblood out of you, you wouldn't be able to function. Not for very long. You'd become anemic, you'd be weak, you wouldn't be able to do anything. The lifeblood of the West is oil. Without the oil, automobiles stop running, buses stop running, schools shut down, factories shut down, everything comes to a screaming halt. They're in control of this oil, they know, and they tested it out by having embargoes here back, was it 10 years ago or something like that? They had gas lines. They tested it out, the confusion that they could cause the world by just shutting off that oil. So what is Iran doing today? It's lacing the Persian Gulf with mines. It's just come over the TV today. They're planting mines in the Persian Gulf.
Who is?
Iran. To stop the shipping of the oil out of the Persian Gulf. And the United States thought they was going to deploy those silkworm missiles and do it that way. Now they're starting to planting mines. So they're taking into counsel, well, what are we going to do about this, what Iran is doing now? And Iran is also talking about having terrorism in in America where we have these nuclear reactors causing that Chernobyl effect in America like there was in Russia by blowing up some of them. So we're in a situation of dire straits here. And they're planning what? They're planning to get the United States and Russia into war. And if they get the United States and Russia in the war and they cancel each other out, and they don't get hit, that they will emerge as the world power. It'll be the dragon return again. And it'll be rule over the people of the world, but it has to get rid of the beast. So they hate the beast. The horns on this beast hate the beast, and it hates the whore. And it's going to cause World War III. Right, Danny?
For God has put it into their hearts to carry out his purpose by being of one mind and giving over their royal power to the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled.
In other words, these Arab countries are all of one mind. Get rid of Israel and get Russia and the United States into war. This is their program.
And the woman that you saw is the great city which has dominion over the kings of the earth.
See, it has dominion over it because the religious authority, like the Pope just went over to Poland, you know what I mean? It has dominion over the peoples because they belong to this church.
That's it.
Is that the end of it? Okay. Then